tutorial we're going to look at how to use the software which you need in order to run the laser cutter. I'm just going to emulate the computer that is attached to the laser, the black laptop. So when you go up to the laptop attached to the laser and sign in, the front menu will look like this without all of these little icons. It'll just be a blank screen, but it will have this little parrot icon down the bottom called Vector Drawer, and that's the program we're going to use. So we're going to open that. It will come up as a blank screen. It might have a blank page ready to go, but we're going to go straight and open up in the open folder. We're going to find our USB, which is down on the side, enter the USB, and then I've already got one in here in my USB called Chassis version 1. So I'm going to open that up. So as you can see, when we open up the page, we have the whole working board. This red outline actually it emulates the size of the bed that we work on in the laser with all those metal slats. This is actually the bed, and this here that you can see, this is my chassis design. Before we go ahead and look at how to actually send the file into the laser for it to cut, there's some things we need to alter and change. The first of which is we need to look at the size. And this is not just for the chassis, this is for any different file or image you want to cut or etch on the laser. Chances are you're going to need to change the size. So to do so, we're going to look at how to change the size. This icon up in the left, the three different squares, and if you hover over it, it's called stretch. If we select the whole image or the whole vector or DXF file of the chassis, click and drag over, it then becomes modifiable. So we're going to go up into the stretch button, and here we've got our width and our length settings. So at the moment it's set to it's currently about 145 millimeters wide and 162 millimeters long. When you port your DXF files over from Onshape, it should come across as the specific size that you set, but just for the sake of showing you how to alter the sizes, I've changed this one, so we have to change it back. In order to change it to the exact millimeter, we're going to go down here and click specified length, and that allows us to change the settings to our exact millimeter length. So width-wise, I want my chassis to be 100 millimeters wide, and length I'm going to go with 140 millimeters wide. So I've entered those two settings in. I'm going to click OK, and as you can see, the size of my chassis is now changed. I can always go back and change that again just by hitting that stretch icon, but that's the size I want. Now, a couple of things. You might notice that some of these holes inside my chassis are not quite symmetrical. If I zoom in, I just simply zoom in by using the mouse wheel, you can see that some of these holes aren't completely symmetrical, and because I re-changed the size, it's also created them into more of an oval shape. When you bring yours in from Onshape, you won't have to stretch it, so therefore your circles should stay as circles and not ovals. But we are going to change that now. So at the moment, this whole chassis is grouped. So all of those individual sections of my chassis will all move together when I move my chassis around. To change that, over here on the left, you see all these different icons that each have their own individual job. If I wanted to draw more objects, I hit the draw button, and then I can input any of these objects up the top. So for example, if I wanted to draw proper circle holes now, I could just select the circle, click off and on, and there you see I have a perfect circle, but we're not going to worry about that. So I'm going to delete that just by hitting this undo button up here, much like on any other application used. You've got your step backwards and your step forwards in case you make a mistake. In order to get these individual elements of my design in a way that I can change them individually, I need to ungroup them. And that is these two icons on the left here. If I hold over the icon on the right, it says dissolve, and if I hold over the icon on the left, it says combine. At the moment, it's combined, and as you can see, the little icon's pulling the box around all three of those shapes. I want to dissolve them so I can move them around individually. So I use my select tool, drag it over my whole shape. I then hit dissolve. Now I should be able to select these shapes individually and move them around. Okay, so I'm going to go back. What I want to move is my screw holes. You might find that if you're not zoomed right in, it'd be difficult to move these around. So I'm going to zoom right in until I've got a lot of space, and that allows me to reposition those holes. So I'm going to select each one individually, zoom right in, slide this one up, just pretend that this is an actual circle, because yours will be, because it'll be porting the exact size over, and move these around. You won't have to do this because from Onshape, your chassis design will be exactly the same parameters, and if you follow this tutorials correctly, your slots and your screw holes will be exactly symmetrical because you mirrored it through the middle. Alright, so I'm going to slide these up just one fraction more, and that should be right to go. Okay, if you want to zoom out, it's easy to lose the page sometimes. If you accidentally zoom too far out and then zoom in and you lose the page, rather than having to zoom out again and zoom back in on the bed, let's say if I zoom right out there and zoom in over here, and I've lost my image from my bed and my chassis, the easiest way to reposition it is these icons up the top. Zoom limited. If I click that, it takes me right back to my shape of my chassis. Or if I want to zoom out to the whole view of the bed, I can just hit the button next to it, which is called limited zoom, which takes me back to the standard view of the whole bed that we're operating on.